That red band below the waterline of every ocean-going ship is not a design choice. It is a chemical byproduct. Cuprous oxide, a copper compound, continuously leaches toxic ions into the thin layer of water surrounding the hull, poisoning any organism that tries to attach. Without it, fouling just millimeters thick can increase fuel consumption by 40%. For the global shipping industry, that invisible layer of marine life is a multi-billion-dollar problem. A thin film of marine growth can turn a streamlined hull into an energy drain. On a 300-meter container ship, just 1 to 2 millimeters of barnacles and algae are enough to increase drag by 10 to 15%. The consequences are immediate and measurable. Fleet data show that as fouling accumulates, fuel consumption climbs in lockstep. Moderate coverage, about 10% of the hull, can raise daily fuel use by 12%. When fouling goes unchecked, the penalty can reach 40%, forcing engines to burn through an extra 12 tons of fuel every day. That's the difference between a ship running at peak efficiency and one hemorrhaging money and emissions with every mile. Captain Miguel Alvarez recorded the impact in his log aboard the MV Horizon during a trans-Pacific leg. Over 3 months at sea, progressive fouling forced a 12-ton-per-day spike in bunker fuel. He wrote, "Started cleaning at the next dry dock. Every extra knot of speed costs us a small fortune in bunker." For ship owners and operators, these numbers are not abstract. They translate directly into millions of dollars lost each year and a surge in carbon output. The economic pressure is relentless, and it all begins with that invisible layer of marine life clinging to steel. The familiar red band below a ship's waterline is not a branding decision or a nod to tradition. It's the visible trace of copper chemistry at work. Modern anti-fouling paints owe their color to cuprous oxide, a copper compound with a distinct reddish hue. This pigment is not just for show. It is the active ingredient that turns the hull into a hostile environment for marine hitchhikers. When seawater meets the hull, a thin film of water, the so-called boundary layer, forms and clings to the surface. Within this microscopic layer, cuprous oxide particles begin to dissolve, releasing copper ions into the water immediately surrounding the ship. These ions are toxic to the larvae of barnacles, algae, and other fouling organisms at concentrations as low as 0.5 micrograms per liter. The effect is highly localized. The copper ions disrupt vital cellular processes, making it nearly impossible for marine life to settle and grow. As the ship moves, hydrodynamic shear strips away the outermost layer of paint, exposing new cuprous oxide and sustaining a steady release of ions. Laboratory tests show that leaching rates can triple under flow compared to static conditions, ensuring that the anti-fouling effect remains strong at cruising speeds. This mechanism is invisible to the naked eye, but the red color is a constant reminder. It signals that the hull is surrounded by a carefully engineered chemical barrier, not a simple coat of paint. The copper ions act as microscopic eviction notices, preventing the costly buildup of marine growth and turning the ship's color into a sign of ongoing biological resistance. Ablative and hard coatings represent two distinct strategies in the ongoing effort to keep ship hulls free of marine growth. Ablative coatings operate much like a bar of soap. As the ship moves through water, the outermost layer of paint gradually wears away, continually exposing fresh copper particles embedded in the resin. This erosion ensures a consistent release of copper ions, maintaining the anti-fouling effect, but requiring regular maintenance. For vessels operating on busy trade routes, the typical service interval for ablative coatings is 12 to 18 months. After that, the hull must be cleaned and repainted, a process factored into operational schedules and budgets. Hard coatings, by contrast, use a durable binder that resists physical erosion. The copper is locked within the matrix and leaches out more slowly, providing a steady but lower dose of biocidal ions over a much longer period, often 5 to 10 years between major maintenance. The trade-off comes in weight and flexibility. A hard copper-nickel plate system can add several tons to a large hull, while ablative paints are far lighter, sometimes saving enough weight to allow for 2,000 additional containers on a single voyage. This difference can translate into significant profit margins for commercial operators. Laura Chen, a marine engineer, faced these choices when retrofitting the MV North Star. Her analysis weighed the upfront cost and added weight of hard copper sheathing against the recurring expense and operational downtime of ablative repainting. In her case, the lighter ablative system offered both economic and logistical advantages, maximizing cargo capacity and simplifying future maintenance. The decision between ablative and hard coatings is rarely about color or tradition. It's a calculation grounded in service intervals, vessel type, and the economics of global shipping. Copper's reach extends well beyond the hulls of ships. In hospitals, copper alloys are used on door handles, bed rails, and tray tables, where their surfaces cut bacterial counts by 78% compared to standard stainless steel. Infection control studies in US and European clinics confirm that copper's ion-leaching action disrupts microbial growth, lowering the risk of hospital-acquired infections. This same antimicrobial power finds use in agriculture. Vineyard managers spray copper sulfate, the active ingredient in the classic Bordeaux mixture, across grapevines to control powdery mildew and downy mildew. Field data from European vineyards show that copper treatments achieve a 95% reduction in mildew outbreaks over the growing season, protecting harvests and helping maintain crop yields. The textile industry has also adopted copper as a defense against odor and bacteria. Athletic clothing and medical fabrics incorporate copper oxide nanoparticles into fibers. In controlled trials, socks and shirts made with copper-infused yarns showed a 70% drop in odor after 10 hours of continuous wear, while hospital linens with copper threads demonstrated a sharp decline in bacterial contamination. These examples reveal a common thread. The same copper chemistry that keeps a ship's hull clean is harnessed to fight bacteria in hospitals, control fungal disease in agriculture, and maintain freshness in textiles. Whether in the ocean, a vineyard, or a hospital ward, copper's biocidal ions work at the microscopic level, disrupting the growth of unwanted organisms. The technology that colors a ship's bottom red is part of a much broader strategy to manage biological threats across multiple industries, linking maritime tradition to modern public health and food security. In the late 18th century, the British Royal Navy faced a relentless adversary beneath the waterline, the shipworm Teredo navalis. This mollusk bored tunnels up to 10 centimeters through oak hulls, leaving vessels weakened and vulnerable. Archival records from the 1760s document entire fleets losing a third of their sailing season to shipworm damage, an operational loss that far outstripped battle casualties. The Admiralty's response was systematic. In 1761, trials began with copper sheathing on the HMS Alarm. Officers observed that copper plates, just 3 millimeters thick, prevented shipworm attacks and left the hull free of marine growth after long deployments. The difference was quantifiable. Ships clad in copper recorded average speed gains of half to 1 knot on Atlantic crossings, a margin that could mean the difference between outrunning a storm or an enemy. Commodore Sir George Rodney, writing in 1778, credited copper sheathing with extending the fleet's endurance and reducing the need for emergency repairs. The copper layer, acting as a slow-release chemical deterrent, not only protected against shipworms, but also reduced drag from barnacles and algae. This innovation transformed naval logistics, anchoring Britain's maritime power in a simple, scientifically grounded solution. Copper's effectiveness as an anti-fouling agent has come at an ecological price. Decades of leaching have left copper concentrations in harbor sediments far above natural levels. Measurements routinely exceed 120 micrograms per gram, with some hotspots in busy ports doubling that figure. In these zones, scientists have documented declines in benthic invertebrates and shifts in sediment chemistry. Regulatory agencies have responded decisively. Sweden now caps copper loading for commercial hull coatings at 45 grams per square meter, and several U.S. states have introduced similar legal limits. The pressure to find alternatives has accelerated research into silicone-based foul release coatings. Unlike copper, silicone does not poison marine life. It creates a slick, low-energy surface that makes it hard for barnacles and algae to gain a foothold. Field trials led by Dr. Ethan Brooks show that silicone systems can cut barnacle settlement by 60 to 70% compared to untreated steel, and the resulting fuel penalty is just 5% above a pristine hull. These coatings avoid metal accumulation in sediments and offer multi-year service intervals, though their performance can vary with vessel speed and water conditions. The shift towards silicone signals a future where anti-fouling balances operational efficiency with environmental responsibility. Today, copper-based coatings remain essential in mitigating marine fouling, directly impacting global shipping efficiency and fuel consumption. Yet, environmental scrutiny intensifies as copper accumulates in sediments. The familiar red hull signals a persistent technological trade-off, one that demands ongoing innovation as maritime regulation and ecological awareness continue to evolve.